On your mat, come into child's pose with your hips over your feet. Knees can be wide or narrow, and then your arms stretched out in front of you. Find a place of ease at first with this posture, and notice where you're at today. What do you notice about your breath? Where do you feel the breath moving? Where do you feel the ribs expanding? Keep your breath going. Walk your left hand over to your right hand on top of it, and then sit your left hip back, getting a nice stretch in the left side body. Breathe here for 2 to 3 rounds of breath, and then you can switch sides, walking your right hand over to your left side, sitting your right hip back, and then finding your breath here. What do you notice? Breathe 2 to 3 rounds of breath here, and then you can walk your hands back towards the center and go back to the original child's pose. Bringing your hands long, coming back to your breath. Then from here, bring your hips over your knees, but continue to stretch your fingers and arms out long in front of you. This is puppy position. You're just bringing your hips a little bit higher, and you find your breath. What do you notice here as you inhale? Can you feel the echo of the movement in the pelvic floor? And then as you exhale, stay here for about 4 rounds of breath, and then you're going to come up onto your forearms here, and knees and hips are in alignment, and then you're going to round your spine like you're doing cat-cow here with your forearms on the ground though. So you're just curling your spine with the exhale, and then you dip down, dip your low back, upper back, raise your chin up. So inhale, we let the belly drop. Exhale, we round the spine, curl in. Inhale, belly drops. And then you can even add a twist by taking your right arm up towards the ceiling with your next inhale. Bring it back down. Inhale up on the other side. Bring it back down. Place your hand on your head, your right hand, and then you're going to rotate your elbow up towards the ceiling, and you're keeping your low belly locked, so you're really just rotating at the thoracic spine. And then you're going to switch sides, so hand goes to the back of the head, and then you rotate 3 times. Inhale, rotate. Exhale, come back down. Now let's come up onto all fours, hips over knees, shoulders over wrists. Now we're doing traditional cat-cow, where we exhale and round the spine. Inhale, belly dips down. So exhale, tuck your tail, round. Inhale, we dip down. Exhale, tuck the tail and round the spine. Inhale, dip down. Repeat this with your breath. Inhaling, dipping down. Exhaling, round. Now we're going to move a little bit differently. So with your trunk, you're going to draw circles with your trunk, like you're doing circles around your pelvis. One direction you're going, and then the opposite. So about 4 to 5 rounds in each direction. Just keep your breath going. Be curious with how that feels for you. And then come back to center. Kick your right leg straight behind you as long as it can go, and then you cross it across your left leg and look back towards it, and then come back to center. Do that with your left side, kick it back, cross it over, and then look back at that foot, and then come back to center. Repeat this. So we're aiming for a really nice side body stretch. You may feel it in your hips, you may feel it in your obliques. doesn't really matter. Just be curious, push back, cross it over, and look back at the leg. And then come back to center. From here, you're going to tuck your toes and pull up into a plank position, always keeping your breath going, engaging the core, being strong. And then you're going to step your right leg through, drop the back knee down, and I like to put my hand on the inside of my right foot here. Find your breath, and you're going to stretch that front side of the left hip. I like to use props here and put them by my hips and then sit up tall. So really this is passive. We're just breathing here. Use the blocks here to keep your trunk upright. You have the option to bring your hands up overhead, interlace the fingers and flip the palms and stretch upward towards the ceiling, and then let the hands come back down. And then you're sitting your hips back, hands on the blocks, kick the right foot up towards the ceiling and keep your breath going here as we stretch the hamstrings and the calves. 3 to 4 rounds of breath. And then rock forward again, and then backward with your breath. So always keep the breath going, even if I don't cue it. Rocking forward and back, moving with your breath. And then switch sides. You can come into a plank to reset, as I am doing, lower down to the floor, and then tuck the toes, come up into a plank again, and then step the left foot through, and your left hand goes on the inside of your left foot, and then here we're stretching the right hip flexors. Keep your breath going. It's normal to build heat as you stretch this muscle group. Bring your hands to the blocks. Again with your breath. You're staying here for about 3 to 4 rounds of breath. Whatever feels good for you. Doing a nice gentle pull in of the low belly to get even more of a stretch. And then sit your hips back. Straighten the left leg. Kick the toe up towards the ceiling. And we breathe for 3 to 4 rounds of breath here. And then you rock forward with your breath. Exhale back. Forward, inhale, exhale back. Forward again. Exhale back. Again, always staying in tune with your breath, with movement. So bring your left knee back, remove the blocks, and then bring your hands forward into plank at first, and then we're lifting up into down dog. So bring your hips up towards the ceiling, be long from your sit bones all the way to your fingertips. You can have a generous bend in your knees if you tend to be tight. And think about your inner thighs rolling back rather than just trying to straighten your knees. We're creating space here in the spine in your downward facing dog with your hips pointed up towards the ceiling and long through the spine. Then you're going to shift forward into plank and slowly lower down to the mat. As you lie flat, lift your right leg in the air, lengthen it out like you're pushing it away from you, and then lower it back down. And then do the same with the left side. Let your pinky toes be heavy on the mat. And then hands go by your armpits. Actually come up onto your forearms here into Sphinx, letting your back and your upper back really sink into this pose with your breath. Enjoying the yummy extension you get through the upper back, sinking it down with every exhale. And then you can lower back down, put your hands by your armpits, and we lengthen out the legs again to create space in the spine, pinky toes heavy, and then we push up. Just nice and gently. And actually, instead of thinking about pushing up, I want you to think about lifting up with your back muscles. Use the back muscles, but still the internal rotation that's happening at the hip with your pinky toes being heavy on the mat helps with not compressing the spine or getting that compressing sensation. So you're going to repeat this about 3 to 4 repetitions with your breath as always. And then this time we're going to do a sloppy push-up. So your hands go by your armpits and you push up as much as you can into extension. The muscles are actually not working here. It's only your arms. You're just coming into full low back extension as you can. Exhale, we lift. Come back down. And then you can come back up into child's pose from there. Find your breath. How are you feeling? Can you recenter yourself? And then when you're ready, you can come up onto all fours, into plank, and then step forward. With your breath, you can inhale, lift up, lengthen out from the feet all the way to the fingertips. Take your left hand and side bend over to the right, and then switch sides. Take your right hand, side bend over to the left. Come back up to center, lower the arms down. Find a wall, place your hands on the wall, and then walk back away from it as far as you can, but maintain contact with your hands. I want you to be in an L shape here if you can. You're welcome to bend your knees a bit here if you need to, but think about length from your sit bones to the fingertips and find your breath. You can make this more dynamic by bending the knees and stretching if you like. Now come up to stand and face away from the wall. You're going to come into a warrior one position, or even a high lunge is just fine, with your heel on the wall, and then walk your foot out in front of you, and then bring your arms up overhead if you would like to. But here what we're focusing on is grounding the feet, so you can ground the heel into the wall and then the foot in front of you while you lengthen up. And you can add a side bend over to your right side if you like, but just maintaining length here. Add a twist like I am if you want to play with it a bit. You exhale and rotate to your right. Inhale, come back up. You can straighten the leg too. Exhale, come back down and rotate. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale, we walk forward and we're switching sides. So your right heel is going onto the wall if you're following me. Left foot forward into this lunge or modified warrior one position. Find your breath here. Enjoy how this feels really long, really powerful. You can make it a little more dynamic by bringing your right wrist over to the left side, stretching that right side body. Come back up, breathe, and then we rotate with the lunge or warrior pose. Exhale, rotate. Inhale up. Exhale, rotate. Inhale up. And again. Again, completely optional. Lift up, even add a little back bend like I'm doing, and then stand up tall. Find the wall again, and you're going to face it. Place your hands on the wall, and then right foot forward, left foot back. I like to bring my feet a bit wide here. And then your toes can be pointed forward, or your left heel can be angled inward a little bit here. And then you're just folding forward over your legs with your knees relatively straight, if you can tolerate that. Sit your right hip back. Your spine is long. And your left leg here, I want you to think about your left inner thigh rolling back. come out of it by walking your left foot forward and then switch sides. Right leg goes back. You can bring your feet wide. And then you're just coming forward over your leg. Knees are straight, hips sink back. So think about that left hip going back, and your right inner thigh is rolling back. We breathe, always finding your breath, and then come forward, stepping out. This time I want you to feel it with your hands a little bit higher on the wall. So if you find that your knees or your hamstrings are just a bit too tight, you can always come higher on the wall. And here, think length from your sit bones to the fingertips at the wall. Right hip sinks back. That left inner thigh rolls back a bit. And we're breathing. Bend your front knee, step out of it, and then come back again. Right foot back, left foot forward, long from the sit bones all the way to the fingertips, finding your breath. Can you sink your left hip back a little bit? Right inner thigh rolls back if your feet are pointed forward and not out to the side. You can start with staying in each posture 3 to 4 rounds of breath. Now let's try a triangle variation where you bring your legs wide on the mat and then say your front left leg is going to the right corner of your mat, and then your right back leg is going to the opposite side of the mat. So your pelvis leads in this. You're going to start bending forward, using your pelvis as a steering wheel over your hips here. And then when you come to the point where you can't go any further, you use your block as a prop underneath your hand and then stretch your top arm out to reach the wall. And here you're just finding length here. This should not feel painful or any discomfort in the hips. We're just finding your breath and you're lengthening out. We are moving your trunk over your hips and legs here. That's what triangle's about. And then we come back up to stand and we're going to do it the opposite side. So switch sides, move your props if you need to. And you can watch me from behind. I'm stepping my feet wide. And then my front right leg is going to the left corner of the mat. And then my left back leg is going to the opposite side. So here I'm starting with my little warm up where I'm moving my pelvis over my hips, taking my trunk with me. And then I use my prop because I can't reach the floor here naturally. And then I extend my left arm up towards the wall, lengthening the side body, and we're moving our trunk in relation to our lower body. Okay, it should be relatively straight trunk, so you can be as high as you need to here. This is difficult and it can be stressful in the low back if you force yourself into it. Come back up, and then you can repeat each side if you'd like to. So let's come back to the wall. Have your props nearby. Come into a pyramid position with your knees straight, hips are pointed towards the wall, and then we're lengthening out again from the sit bones to the hands. Then you can drop one arm. I'm dropping my right arm down with my left foot forward and twisting through the chest level or thoracic spine here. Find your breath. Sit your hips back, keep the knees straight if you can, and just rotate at the chest level. Bend the front knee to come out of it if you need to, and then lengthen out again with both hands on the wall, sitting the hips back. Bend the front knee, step forward, adjust your props as you need to. Hands can go on the wall and then step your left foot back, right foot forward, knees straight, hinge forward at the hips, hands go to the wall. We're long through the spine here. I think you're getting the theme. Left hand goes down to the block. We're twisting at the chest level, sitting our right hip back. Breathe. Where do you notice the movement of your breath? Staying in each posture for 3 to 4 rounds of breath in this practice. But you can hold these postures for longer. Then bring your hand back up to the wall and then sit the hips back. One more time, and then bend the knees, step forward, adjusting your props. Still facing the wall, bring your hands to the wall, sit your hips back, walk back as far as you can, be in an L position, and then you're going to lift your right leg up and push it back behind you. Be as long as you can here while activating the right back side of your body and stabilizing through the left hip and core. 3 to 4 rounds of breath here. Can you maintain length with strength? Bring your right foot back down and switch sides. Kick your left leg out behind you. Push that leg away. Find your breath. 3 to 4 rounds. We want strength and length. How does this feel for you? And then come back to standing. Repeat if you want to. Okay, this time you're going to be facing the wide edge of your mat. Bring some blocks or a chair in front of you. Bring your feet wide on the mat. Your toes can be pointed inward if that feels better for you. And then you're bringing your hands forward onto the blocks. But keep your hips in line with your ankles. You're not really sitting your hips back behind your feet. They're in the same plane here. And then you're lengthening out from your sit bones all the way to your fingertips here. Find your breath. So walk your hands back now. Bring them underneath your shoulders. Plant your left hand and then twist up towards the ceiling if you'd like to, opening at the chest level. Hold here for anywhere from 3 to 4 rounds of breath. Inhaling, you expand. Exhale, you soften, and then switch sides. Bring your right hand down. Left arm goes up towards the ceiling. We're long. Find your breath, 3 to 4 rounds of breath, and then release and come back down. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders, and then feet can come together, and you're coming into a yogi squat. So you're going to put something underneath your pelvis if you'd like to, and then plant your feet, open your knees wide. You can kind of shift back and forth together. I like to bring my hands into prayer pose, and I'm just sitting my chest up tall with my elbows on the inside of my thighs. Finding your breath here. Can you notice the echo of your breath in the pelvic floor? And if you'd like to add a twist to this, you can, extending your left arm down and extending to the right, and then twisting to the left. Coming back to center, and then you can remove the block. Now you can sit on your mat with your hands behind you, knees bent, and feet are wide. Then you're just rocking your knees from side to side, back and forth with your breath. If you want more than this, you can lay down flat. Do the same thing, but when you come to internal rotation, you're going to lift your right leg, put it on top of your left thigh, arms overhead, stretch that front left side, and then do the opposite. Bring your knees to the left, and your left ankle goes to your right thigh, stretching that front side. And you can repeat this, or you can go into happy baby like I am, where I'm bringing my hands up to my feet and then just breathing. Place the legs back down, and if you want to come into a bridge pose, you can by lifting your pelvis up towards the ceiling and then come back down, lifting up, coming back down. I like to activate the backside here. You can make it as active or passive as you want. Legs go wide on the mat. Arms down by your side, and you find your breath. Slowly start to come out of this by bringing more attention to your breath. You can wiggle your fingers and toes, and then roll to one side if you'd like to, and then come on up. Sitting on your mat in any way you'd like to. Finding your breath, hands go to heart center. Just appreciating the fact that yoga is about connecting with your breath, connecting with your body, and connecting with each other. Thank you for practicing with me.